Every second of a World Eater's life is agony. Metal spikes driven into their skulls turn thoughts into torture and peace into pain. They don't fight for glory or purpose anymore. They fight because killing is the only thing that makes the screaming stop, and the blood god always demands more. I wake to the screaming of the nails again. Always the screaming, always the digging. Like rust-coated fingers clawing through the soft matter of my brain. My eyes open to darkness and the taste of copper floods my mouth. I have bitten through my tongue in my sleep again. The pain does not bother me. Pain is all I have known since the nails were driven into my skull. Since I became a son of Angron. The name brings a fresh surge of agony as the nails bite. Once I wore white and blue armor and fought for an emperor who claimed to bring unity to mankind. Now I wear the red and brass of the blood god, and I fight only because the nails demand it. My armor bears the marks of 10,000 battles. Each scar and dent a testament to my survival. Each kill mark a memory of blood spilled in the name of Khorne. I no longer count them, there are too many. Just as there are too few memories of the man I once was. The Skullforge groans around me as I rise from my slab. Not a bed. I do not sleep as mortals do. I simply lie motionless until the nails drive me to move again. The chamber is sparse. Unadorned metal walls stained with the rust-colored remnants of blood. A rack holds my armor and weapons. In the corner sits a small shrine. Skulls piled upon skulls. Some human, some Xenos. All claimed in battle, all offered to the blood god. I say no prayers before it. Khorne cares not for words, only for blood and skulls. My brothers are already awake. I can hear the grinding of chain axes and the low rumble of voices from the training pits. The sound makes the nails dig deeper. They want me there. They want me to spill blood. Even the blood of my brothers will do. It is our way. We hone our skills against one another when there are no real enemies to kill. When the training is done, we will tend to each other's wounds if they are not mortal. If they are, we will take the skull and add it to our shrines. I reach for my armor. Each piece is a ritual unto itself, greaves stained with the mud of 100 worlds. Vambrace is notched from parrying blades and claws and things with no name, chest plate bearing the stylized image of a fanged maw. The symbol of my warband, the Gore Feasters. We follow Kargaroth the Bloodspiller, though follow is not the right word. We kill at his direction because he is strongest among us. When he weakens, one of us will take his place. I have no desire for such glory. I desire only the temporary silence that comes with giving the nails what they want. The helm comes last. As I lift it, I catch a glimpse of my reflection in the polished metal of the bulkhead. My face is a ruin of scar tissue and metal. The nails protrude from my scalp like silver insect legs burrowing into my flesh. My eyes are bloodshot orbs floating in pools of midnight. The skin around them is stretched tight and pale. My mouth, a permanent snarl revealing teeth filed to points. I no longer recognize the face staring back at me. Perhaps I never did. The helm slides over my head with the familiar hiss of seals engaging. The armor powers up, neural interfaces linking with my implants. Pain flares across my nervous system as the nails register the connection. The pain is good. It means the armor is functioning. It means I am ready for war. I retrieve my weapons from their rack. A chain axe in my right hand, the teeth still crusted with dried blood from yesterday's training. A bolt pistol in my left. Both are ancient. Both have served me well. The chain axe bears a name. Blood Drinker. I did not name it. It belonged to a brother I killed in the fighting pits when the nails drove me too far. Taking his weapon was my right as victor. I do not remember his name. Just another skull for the shrine. I leave my chamber and stalk through the corridors of the Skullforge. The ship is old. Older than me. It has served the Legion since before the heresy. Its hallways are narrow and twisting, like veins in a rotting body. The walls pulse with an unnatural rhythm. Not the beating of a heart, but the grinding of ancient machinery pushed far beyond its limits. Servitors shuffle past, their faces blank masks of flesh stretched over metal. They do not look at me. They know better. The Skull Forge is not just a ship. It is a mobile fortress monastery, a factory of death. Deep in its bowels, slaves and servitors labor endlessly to produce ammunition and maintain the engines. Higher up are the fighting pits and the arming chambers. Above those, the bridge and the private domains of Kargaroth. I have not been to the bridge. In decades. I have no need to. My place is in battle, not in planning. I reach the fighting pits, and the nails sing louder at the sounds that greet me. Metal on metal, chain axes revving, flesh tearing, bones breaking, screams of pain and fury. The smell of blood and sweat hangs heavy in the air. My brothers are already at work. Some spar with training cages, blunted weapons that still draw blood but rarely kill. Others fight with live steel against captured slaves or prisoners. These fights always end in death. We need the practice. We need to feed the nails. Kargaroth stands at the edge of the central pit. His armor is more ornate than mine, adorned with skulls and brass icons of Khorne. His helmet is fashioned in the likeness of a snarling hound, the 8-pointed star of chaos etched into its forehead. 2 chain axes hang from his belt, both larger than mine, both dripping with fresh blood. He sees me and raises a hand in greeting. Not friendly, we do not have friends, but recognizing a useful tool. I nod in return and approach. Karkon, he growls, voice distorted by his helm's vox. The nails wake you early. They never let me sleep, I reply. A simple truth. None of us truly sleep anymore. Good. We have received a summons. The Blood Crusade pushes into the Charadon sector. Khorne calls his servants to war. The nails dig deeper at the mention of war. Real war. Not the pale imitation of the training pits. They know the difference. They can sense it. How long? I ask. 3 days in the warp. If the navigator does not fail us. 3 days. 3 days of nothing but training and waiting. The nails will be screaming by then, demanding release. I will have to visit the slave pens to quiet them. We all will. Gather your squad. Kargaroth continues. We make preparation for translation into the warp within the hour. The blood god grows impatient for skulls. I nod again and turn away. My squad. Once we were a proper unit. 10 brothers bound by discipline and purpose. Now we are 5 survivors bound by nothing but the nails and our service to Khorne, Varkarth, Grulag, Toramic, June, each as broken as I am, each as deadly. I find them scattered around the pits. Varkarth and Grulag sparring with each other, chain axes locked together in a shower of sparks. Toramic methodically executing prisoners, one after another, his movements precise despite the nails. June sitting alone in a corner, mumbling to himself, scratching at the implants in his skull until blood runs down his neck. The nails affect us all differently. For some, like Zune, they have all but destroyed what little sanity remained. I signal to them, and they respond immediately. Even Zune. The training and the executions stop. They gather around me, blood dripping from their weapons onto the deck. War, I say simply. The word is enough. I see the change in their posture. The anticipation. The nails dig into all of us at the prospect. Where? Asks Varkarth. His voice is a metallic rasp. His vocal cords were damaged in a battle against the salamanders centuries ago. Charadon sector, Blood Crusade, 3 days transit. 3 days. Grulag snarls. The nails will be unbearable. Then we visit the pens, says Toramic, always practical. June says nothing, just nods rapidly, still scratching at his implants. Prepare your war gear, I tell them. We translate within the hour. They disperse without another word, each to their own rituals of preparation. I remain in the pit for a moment longer, watching the other squads receive the same news from their leaders. The energy in the chamber changes, becomes charged with purpose. With anticipation, the nails respond to it, digging deeper, demanding action. I leave the pits and make my way to the arming chamber assigned to my squad. It is a large room filled with weapon racks and maintenance stations. Servitors move silently about their tasks, repairing armor and sharpening blades. They do not look up as I enter. They are tools, nothing more. My brothers arrive one by one. Each begins the process of preparing for war. Armor is checked for damage and repaired. Weapons are cleaned and blessed. Ammunition is counted and distributed. We work in near silence, communicating in grunts and gestures when necessary. Words are difficult with the nails. They punish complicated thought. They reward only rage and action. I strip my chain axe down to its components, clearing the dried blood from its teeth. I oil the chain and check the motor. I load fresh shells into my bolt pistol and secure additional magazines to my belt. I check my combat knife and the spare blades hidden throughout my armor. In battle, a warrior must be prepared to lose his primary weapons. To be unarmed is to be dead. As I work, fragments of memory surface through the constant pain of the nails, flashes of a time before. A face, a woman. Her name escapes me, though I know once it was precious to me. A planet with golden fields beneath a pale blue sky. Was it my home? I cannot remember. The nails punish such memories, driving deeper when they surface. I have learned to let them slip away rather than try to hold them. Other memories are clearer. The first time the nails were activated, the screaming, the blood, the rage that consumed everything else, the faces of brothers I killed in that initial frenzy, the taste of their blood on my lips. These memories the nails permit. These memories they reward with momentary respite from the pain. I finish my preparations before the others. I always do. Efficiency is one of the few disciplines the nails have not taken from me. I sit on a storage crate and watch my brothers work. Varkath meticulously checking each link in his chain glaive, Grulag loading shells into his combi bolter, lips moving in silent prayer to Khorne, Toramik sharpening his axe with mechanical precision, and June, poor broken June, rocking back and forth as he cleans his weapons, talking to himself in a language none of us understand. Once we were prouder than this. Once we were the Emperor's finest, his angels of death. Now we are rabid dogs held on a leash of pain, released only to kill and maim in the name of a god who cares nothing for us beyond the skulls we collect. The thought should bring shame, but shame is another emotion the nails have stolen from me. The ship shudders around us. A low rumble builds in the decks and walls. The warp engines are powering up. Soon we will leave real space and enter the Immaterium, the domain of the gods, the realm of madness. For most, travel through the warp is a time of danger and fear. For us, it is simply another kind of pain to endure. We secure our equipment as the tremors increase. Warning klaxons sound throughout the ship. A servitor approaches and bows stiffly. Lords, the ship translates in 5 minutes. The Bloodmaster requests all warriors secure for warp travel. I nod dismissal, and the servitor scurries away. We do not need to be told how to prepare for warp travel. We have done it countless times. We secure our weapons and armor. We strap ourselves into the reinforced seats built into the walls of the arming chamber. We do not retreat to quarters or special chambers as the mortal crew do. The warp holds no terror for us. We have seen worse. The rumbling builds to a crescendo. The deck plates vibrate beneath our feet. The lighting flickers and dims. Then comes the sensation of being turned inside out, of having every atom in your body pulled apart and reassembled incorrectly. For a normal human, the experience would drive them insane. For us, it is barely noticeable through the constant agony of the nails. The Skull Forge enters the warp with a final shudder that ripples through the entire vessel. The lighting shifts from harsh white to a bloody crimson as the ship switches to warp running protocols. The gravity fluctuates momentarily before stabilizing at a level slightly higher than normal. The constant background noise of the engines changes pitch, becoming a low, throbbing pulse that reminds me of a gigantic heart. We remain strapped in for several more minutes until the announcement comes that we have successfully translated into the warp and all systems are functioning normally. Then we release ourselves and return to our preparations. 3 days. Grulag growls as he checks the edge on his chain axe for the 3rd time. 3 days with the nails and nothing to kill. There are always the slave pens, Toramik reminds him. Slaves are not warriors, Grulag spits. There is no honor in such kills. Honor? Varkath laughs, a harsh sound like metal scraping on metal. What use have we for honor? We are the eaters of worlds, the butchers of the false emperor's realm. We take skulls for corn, that is all. Even the blood god recognizes worthy kills. Grulag insists. A strong enemy yields a better skull than a weak one. I say nothing. This is an old argument among my brothers, one that surfaces whenever we face the prospect of days without proper combat. Grulag still clings to some twisted version of the honor we once held as Astartes. Varkath has abandoned such notions entirely. Toramik walks the middle path, pragmatic in all things, and June is too far gone to care either way. Karkon, Varkath turns to me. What say you? Shall we visit the pens to quiet the nails, or endure until we reach the Sharadan sector? All eyes turn to me. As squad leader, my word is law. At least until the nails drive one of them to challenge me. It has happened before. It will happen again. Such is our way. We will train, I say after a moment. Hard, until our bodies can no longer move. Then we will rest, and train again. The slave pens are a last resort. We will need our strength for the real battles to come. Grulag nods in satisfaction. Varkath shrugs, indifferent. Toramik simply accepts, as he accepts all things. June continues to rock back and forth, lost in his private madness. But, I add, if the nails become too much for any of you to bear, you may visit the pens, 1 slave each, no more. We cannot afford to deplete the ship's resources before battle. This compromise seems to satisfy them. Even Varkath nods reluctantly. They know as well as I do that training alone will not silence the nails completely, not for 3 days, but it may make the pain manageable. We finish our preparations in silence and head back to the training pits. They will be crowded now, with every warrior on the ship seeking to occupy themselves during the warp journey. But there will be room enough for us. There is always room for Karkon's squad. We have earned our reputation. We have spilled enough blood in the fighting pits that others give us space. The next 3 days pass in a blur of violence. We train until our muscles scream for mercy, until our bodies are covered in wounds that even our enhanced healing struggles to close, until sweat and blood make the deck slick beneath our feet. We spar with each other and with other squads, always with blunted weapons, always pulling our strikes just short of lethal force. But still, warriors die. It is unavoidable when the nails drive us beyond reason. I lose count of the hours. Time has little meaning in the warp anyway. The ship's chronometers try to maintain a standard schedule, but everyone knows it is a fiction, a convenience for the mortal crew who still need such things to maintain their sanity. For us, there is only the rhythm of combat, rest, and more combat. On what the ship's log calls the second day, June succumbs to the nails. During a sparring match with a warrior from another squad, he suddenly screams and drops his training cage. Before anyone can react, he draws his combat knife and lunges at his opponent, driving the blade up under the chin strap of the other warrior's helmet. The blade finds its mark in the soft tissue of the throat, and blood sprays across the training pit. The other warrior falls, choking on his own blood. He will not die, not permanently. The apothecaries will save him if they deem him worthy. But the damage is done. June has broken the rules of the pit. Punishment is swift and severe. Kargaroth himself steps into the pit and faces June. No words are exchanged, none are needed. Kargaroth draws one of his chain axes and activates it with a roar that echoes through the chamber. June, still lost to the nails, charges with nothing but his knife. The fight is brief and brutal. Zune manages to score a single wound, a shallow cut across Kargaroth's forearm. Then the chain axe catches him in the chest, tearing through ceramite and flesh alike. June falls to his knees, blood pouring from the massive wound. Kargaroth raises his axe for the killing blow. I step forward. "Lord," I call out. "He is my responsibility, my warrior." Kargaroth pauses, the axe held high. He turns his helmeted head toward me, considering. "You claim the right of correction?" he asks, his voice a rumble of barely contained fury. "I do," I confirm. By our savage traditions, a squad leader may execute his own warrior if that warrior breaks the laws of the warband. It is both a right and a duty. Kargaroth steps back, lowering his axe. "Then correct him, Karkon." I draw my bolt pistol and approach Zune. He kneels in a pool of his own blood, the nails finally quieted by the shock of his wound. His helmet has been knocked off in the fight, and I can see his face, his eyes clear for the first time in days. He recognizes me. He knows what comes next. "Brother," he whispers, blood bubbling from his lips. "Make it clean." I place the muzzle of the pistol against his forehead. "Blood for the blood god," I intone. "Skulls for the skull throne," he replies, completing the ritual. I pull the trigger. The back of June's head explodes in a spray of blood, bone, and brain matter. His body topples backward to lie still on the deck. One, the ship's servitors will collect his gene seed if it is still viable. Another will take his skull for the trophy rack. His armor and weapons will be distributed among the squad. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is mourned. I holster my pistol and turn to Kargaroth. "It is done." He nods once, then addresses the gathered warriors. "Back to training. We reach Charadon tomorrow. Be ready." The warriors disperse, the spectacle over. I return to my remaining squad members. None of them speak of June. It is as if he never existed. This is our way. The weak are culled. Only the strong survive to serve Khorne. "We are four now," Varkath observes neutrally. "We will be assigned a replacement when we return to the Eye," I reply. "If we return." "We will return," Grulag says with certainty. "Khorne is not done with us yet." I say nothing to this. None of us know the will of the blood god. We know only that he demands skulls and blood, and we provide them until we can provide no more. Then our own skulls join his throne, and our blood waters his realm. It is a simple existence, brutal, but simple. We resume our training, pushing even harder now, as if by driving our bodies beyond their limits we can somehow make up for being one warrior short. As if Khorne might notice our dedication and favor us in the coming battle. It is a foolish thought, but one the nails allow. They care only that we continue to move, to fight, to bleed. Whether it is our blood or the enemy's makes little difference to them. The third day passes much like the second. Train, rest, train again. The nails scream constantly now, demanding real violence, demanding death that matters. I see the strain in my brothers' faces when they remove their helmets. The bloodshot eyes, the constant tick of facial muscles, the grinding of teeth worn flat from clenching. We are all barely holding on to the last threads of control. None of us visit the slave pens, not even Varkath, who argued for it initially. We have made a pact, unspoken but understood. We will save our fury for the enemy. We will give the nails what they want soon enough. Finally, the announcement comes. 1 hour to translation back to real space. 1 hour until the Charadon sector. 1 hour until war. We return to the arming chamber and don our full battle plate. We check our weapons one final time. We secure additional ammunition. We prepare. The ship shudders as it prepares to leave the warp. The deck trembles beneath our feet. The lighting flickers from blood red back to harsh white. Then comes the sensation of being compressed, of every atom in your body being forced back into proper alignment. Again, it is barely noticeable through the constant pain of the nails. With a final violent shudder, the Skullforge returns to real space. The warp engines power down with a whine that fades to silence. For a moment, there is an eerie quiet throughout the ship. Then the klaxons sound, not the warning of translation this time, but the call to with battle stations, the call to war. We make our way to the launch bay where our drop pod waits. Other squads converge from all directions, a river of red armor flowing through the corridors of the ship. There is no chatter, no battle cant or ritual exchanges, just the heavy tread of ceramite boots on metal decking and the occasional revving of a chain axe as a warrior succumbs momentarily to the nails. The launch bay is vast, a cavernous space filled with drop pods, thunderhawks, and other assault craft. Servitors and tech thralls scurry about, making final preparations. Overhead, a massive view screen shows our target, a hive city sprawling across the surface of a grey-brown world. Imperial banners still fly from its highest towers, but not for long. Kargaroth stands on a raised platform, addressing the gathered warriors. His voice booms through external voxcasters, filling the launch bay. "Brothers, the Blood God calls us to war. The Charadon sector bleeds and Khorne thirsts for more. We will give him what he wants. We will drown this hive in blood and build a mountain of skulls in his name." A roar goes up from the assembled warriors. Chain axes rev and bolt pistols fire into the air. The nails respond to the display, digging deeper, demanding action. I feel my own control slipping as the battle rage builds within me. The Corpse Emperor's lapdogs defend this world, Kargaroth continues. Space Marines of the White Scars chapter. They are fast, they are skilled, they are worthy opponents. Their skulls will make fine offerings to our god. Another roar, louder this time. White Scars. I search my fragmentary memories for information about this chapter. Fast attack specialists. Highly mobile. Masters of the hit and run. Not the kind of enemy the World Eaters typically fare well against, but it does not matter. The Nails care nothing for tactics or strategy. They care only for close combat, for the feeling of blade biting into flesh. "We drop in 5 minutes," Kargaroth shouts. "To your assault craft, blood for the Blood God, skulls for the Skull Throne." The response is deafening, echoing from the metal walls of the launch bay. We move to our assigned drop pod, a brutal utilitarian craft designed for one purpose, to deliver us to the battlefield as quickly as possible. No comfort, no safety features beyond the bare minimum. Just a metal coffin fired from orbit directly into the heart of the enemy. We strap ourselves in, securing our weapons. The interior of the pod turning the metal shell of our conveyance into a miniature sun hurtling toward the surface. The ride is violent. The pod bucks and shakes as atmospheric turbulence buffets it from all sides. Warning runes flash across my retinal display. Heat levels critical. Structural integrity compromised on multiple sections. Course deviation due to defensive fire. None of it matters. Either we reach the ground intact, or we die in the attempt. There is no middle ground. I check the tactical display. Our projected landing zone is a large plaza near the center of the hive, a strategic choice. We will be surrounded by enemies on all sides, but we will also be in position to strike at the heart of the Imperial defense. It is the kind of reckless, brutal strategy that Kargaroth favors. The kind that costs many lives but often achieves objectives through sheer violence and momentum. Proximity alarms sound as we enter the lower atmosphere. Defense lasers track us, trying to score a killing hit. The pod's minimal countermeasures deploy, releasing clouds of metallic chaff and spectral decoys. A laser grazes our flank, tearing away a chunk of the heat shield. Warnings blare louder. I ignore them. My focus narrows further. The Nails demand all my attention now. Impact in 10 seconds. I grip my weapons tightly, chain axe in right hand, bolt pistol in left, both ready to deal death the moment the pod doors open. 5 seconds. The nails scream in. Anticipation. My muscles tense, ready to explode into action. My twin hearts pump furiously, flooding my system with combat stimulants. Impact. The pod slams into the ground with enough force to shatter rockcrete and buckle adamantium. The retro thrusters fire at the last possible second, slowing our descent just enough to keep the impact from killing us outright. Even so, the shock is tremendous. My teeth rattle in my skull. My vision blurs momentarily. The nails bite deeper at the pain. For a fraction of a second, there is silence. Then the explosive bolts detonate, blowing the pod doors outward with enough force to kill anyone standing nearby. Daylight floods the compartment, harsh and unwelcome after the red gloom. My auto senses adjust instantly, polarizing my visor to compensate. We are on our feet before the doors hit the ground, weapons ready, moving on pure instinct and decades of conditioning. The plaza around us is chaos. Other pods from our wave have landed nearby, disgorging their cargo of World Eaters into the battle. Imperial guardsmen fire desperately from hastily established positions around the perimeter. Their last shots patter harmlessly against our armor or miss entirely as terror makes their aim wild. I empty my bolt pistol into the nearest cluster of guardsmen. The mass-reactive shells detonate inside their targets, turning human bodies into sprays of red mist and chunks of meat. My chain axe roars to life as I charge the survivors. The first swing takes a man's head clean off. The second opens another from shoulder to hip. Blood sprays across my armor, blessing it with the sacred fluid that Khorne demands. The nails sing with each kill. Not in pleasure, never that, but in momentary respite from the constant pain. Each death pushes the agony back for a heartbeat before it returns, driving me to kill again and again in a never-ending cycle of violence and brief relief. My squad forms up around me, each brother finding his own targets. Varkath wades into a group of guardsmen, his chain glaive sweeping in great arcs that leave dismembered bodies in its wake. Grulag provides covering fire with his combi bolter, switching to his chain axe only when enemies draw too close. Toromik moves with precision despite the battle rage, each strike calculated for maximum efficiency, each kill adding to his tally for Khorne. I lose track of time as the nails take full control. My world narrows to a series of kill zones. Target, engage, destroy, move to next target. The plaza becomes a slaughterhouse as more and more of our forces land and join the carnage. The Imperial Guard breaks quickly, those who survive fleeing deeper into the hive. We pursue, driven by the nails and the thirst for more blood. The narrow streets of the hive favor our style of combat. Close quarters, limited room to maneuver, nowhere for the enemy to run. We push forward in a tide of red armor and revving chain axes. Buildings are breached, civilians found. Cowering inside are butchered without hesitation. Their skulls added to the tally, their blood spilled in Khorne's name. The resistance stiffens as we approach the central spire. Veterans of the Imperial Guard hold choke points with heavy weapons. PDF forces man barricades of rubble and twisted metal. They die all the same. We are the World Eaters. Nothing stops us once the nails are singing. Then I hear it, the distinctive roar of Space Marine bike engines. The white scars have joined the battle. They come not in a frontal assault as we might, but from side streets and hidden passages, hit-and-run attacks that strike vulnerable points in our advance before disappearing again. A squad of our warriors is caught in a crossfire and cut down. Another is isolated and overwhelmed by a lightning-fast assault that comes and goes before reinforcements can arrive. Kargaroth's voice crackles over the vox. Form into tighter groups, cover all approaches, make them come to you. The order goes. Against every instinct, the nails drive into us. They want us to charge, to attack, to kill. But even in our battle madness, we recognize the tactical necessity. The white scars are using our aggression against us, drawing us into traps and killing zones. We must adapt or die. My squad takes position in the ruins of what was once a hab block. Multi-story building with clear lines of sight in all directions. Defensible, sturdy, a good place to make a stand. We barricade the ground floor entrances and set up firing positions at the windows. Then we wait. The waiting is agony. The nails dig deeper with every moment of inaction. I pace the room like a caged animal, chain axe revving occasionally as the pain spikes. My brothers are little better. Grulag mutters darkly to himself. Varkath tests the edge of his blade repeatedly. Toramik alone remains relatively still, his discipline holding even now. "They come," Toramik says suddenly, his enhanced hearing picking up what the rest of us cannot yet detect. Bikes, at least a full squad, approaching from the east. I move to the eastern window, careful to stay back from the opening to avoid presenting a target. In the distance, I can hear the growl of engines growing louder. The White Scars are coming, fast attack, their specialty. But they are coming to us, on our terms. The hunter becoming the hunted. Prepare, I order. Grulag, covering fire when they enter the kill zone. Varkath, left flank. Toramik, right. I will take point. Remember, they are Astartes. They will not break like the guard. Kill them quickly and without mercy. My brothers move to their assigned positions, weapons ready. The sound of engines grows louder. Then I see them. White armor with red lightning patterns. Astartes on assault bikes, moving at incredible speeds through the rubble-strewn streets. 10 of them, a full tactical squad. They weave in complex patterns, making themselves difficult targets even in the confined space of the street. They are still beyond effective range of our bolt weapons when the lead rider spots our position. He signals to the others, and the formation changes. They will try to flank us, to hit the building from multiple sides at once. A sound tactic against a normal enemy. But we are World Eaters. We have prepared for this. Let them commit. I vox to my squad. Wait for my signal. The White Scars split into 2 groups, 5 riders each. One group continues toward the front of the building. The other swings wide, aiming for the rear entrance. They accelerate, pushing their bikes to maximum speed for the assault. The lead group reaches the kill zone, the area in front of the building that we have prepared with concealed tank traps and other obstacles. The first bike hits a buried piston that fires upward as the weight triggers it. The rider is thrown clear, his bike a crumpled wreck. The others swerve to avoid his fate, but they have committed now. They are in the kill zone with no clean way out. Now, I vox. Grulag opens fire with his combi bolter, the heavy caliber rounds striking with incredible accuracy despite the speed of the targets. One White Scar takes a round to the chest and topples from his bike, which continues on without him to crash into a wall. Another loses control as a bolt destroys his front tire, sending him skidding across the rockcrete. 3 riders make it through the kill zone and reach the building. They abandon their bikes in a controlled slide and draw their weapons as they hit the ground running. Chainswords and bolt pistols. Close combat specialists, like us, but not like us. They fight with skill and training. We fight with madness and fury. I charge down the stairs to meet them at the barricaded entrance. They are trying to force their way in, using crack grenades to clear the obstacles we placed. The first explosion rocks the building, clearing most of the barricade. The second will breach it entirely. I reach the ground floor just as the second grenade detonates. The blast throws debris in all directions. Through the dust and smoke, the first White Scar enters. His armor is pristine compared to mine, gleaming white with red lightning decorating his pauldrons. His chainsword whirs as he advances cautiously, bolt pistol sweeping the room for targets. I do not give him time to spot me. I charge from the shadows, chainaxe raised high. He reacts with incredible speed, bringing his chainsword up to parry my strike. The weapons meet in a shower of sparks and a scream of tortured metal. For a moment we are locked together, straining against each other's transhuman strength. "Traitor," he hisses, his voice distorted by his helm's vox. "Corpse worshipper," I reply, putting more pressure on my weapon. The deadlock breaks as the second White Scar enters and fires his bolt pistol at me. The shell impacts my shoulder pauldron, blowing a chunk of ceramite away but failing to penetrate to the flesh beneath. I use the momentary distraction to disengage from the first warrior and swing my chain axe at the newcomer. He tries to dodge, but the confines of the entrance limit his mobility. The chain axe catches him on the arm, the adamantium teeth chewing through his armor and into the flesh beneath. Blood sprays as I yank the weapon free, preparing for another strike. But the first white scar is on me again, his chainsword scoring a hit across my back. Pain flares and the nails respond, driving deeper into my brain, demanding more violence, more blood. I roar and spin, my chain axe describing a horizontal arc that forces both enemies to backstep. In the momentary space this creates, I draw my bolt pistol with my free hand and fire point blank at the injured warrior. The shell takes him in the faceplate, shattering the ceramite and destroying everything behind it. He drops like a puppet with cut strings. One down. The other snarls in anger and charges, abandoning caution for vengeance. A mistake. I sidestep his rush and bring my chain axe down on his exposed back. The weapon bites deep, severing his spine and shredding vital organs. He falls face first onto the debris-strewn floor and moves no more. The third white scar appears in the doorway, assessing the situation with the quick precision of a veteran. He sees his dead brothers and me standing over them, bloody chain axe in hand. Instead of charging in as the second had done, he withdraws, firing his bolt pistol to cover his retreat. I pursue, the nails demanding I finish what I've started. As I exit the building, I become aware of the larger battle again. The second group of white scars has engaged Varkath and Toromik at the rear of the building. Gunfire and the clash of blades echoes from that direction. Grulag continues to provide fire support from the upper floors, his bolter barking in disciplined bursts. The retreating white scar has reached his bike and mounts it in one fluid motion. The engine roars as he kicks it to life, preparing to speed away. I raise my bolt pistol and fire, but the range is extreme for a pistol shot and the round goes wide. He guns the throttle and the bike leaps forward, but he does not get far. A massive figure steps out from a side alley directly into his path. Kargaroth, his armor splattered with fresh blood, chain axe in one hand and a severed white scar head in the other. The biker tries to swerve, but it is too late. Kargaroth swings his chain axe in a downward arc that catches the bike's front wheel. Metal shrieks as the weapon tears through it, sending the rider catapulting over the handlebars. He lands hard but rolls with the impact, coming up in a fighting stance with chainsword ready, a skilled warrior. A worthy opponent. Kargaroth laughs, a sound like rocks grinding together, and tosses the severed head aside. Then he charges. The fight is brief but spectacular. The white scar is fast, using his superior mobility to avoid Kargaroth's powerful but somewhat slower strikes. He lands. Several hits, scoring deep gouges in Kargaroth's armor. But none are fatal. None even slow the World Eater down. And when Kargaroth finally connects with a backhanded swing of his chain axe, the result is devastating. The weapon tears through the white scar's torso, cutting him nearly in two. He falls in a spray of blood, choking his last breaths into the dust. Kargaroth turns to me, his helmet's red eye lenses fixing on my position. Status? 3 white scars confirmed killed at the front entrance, I report. Unknown number engaging the rest of my squad at the rear. Deal with them, he orders. Then prepare to advance on the central spire. We have the vanguard position. The glory will be ours. I nod and turn back to the building. As I do, Grulag voxes from his position upstairs. Brother, the rear is clear. Varkath and Toromik have eliminated the enemy. Varkath is wounded but functional. Regroup on the ground floor. I order. We move on the central spire with Kargaroth. We converge in what was once the Hab Block's lobby. Varkath has a deep gash in his left thigh where a chainsword found a gap in his armor. The wound would incapacitate a normal human, but for an Astartes, especially one driven by the nails, it is merely an inconvenience. He has applied a temporary seal to prevent further blood loss. It will hold until the apothecaries can tend to him after the battle, assuming any of us survive that long. The white scars are formidable, Toromik notes, inspecting a deep gouge in his vambrace. They fight well for lapdogs of the false emperor. They die all the same, Grulag grunts, reloading his combi bolter. How many did you take? I ask them. 3 confirmed kills, Toromik replies. 2 by my hand, 1 by Varkath's. 2 more wounded, possibly fatally, Varkath adds. They were extracted by their brothers before I could finish them. 6 killed, 2 wounded, out of 10. Not a complete victory, but a favorable exchange nonetheless. The white scars will think twice before engaging us directly again. They will return to their hit and run tactics, which means we must maintain our discipline despite the nails. A difficult prospect, but not impossible. We have done it before. We check our weapons and ammunition. We patch the worst damage to our armor as best we can in the field. Then we move out to join Kargaroth for the advance on the central spire. The true test of this battle is yet to come. The heart of the hive will be heavily defended. The white scars will have concentrated their forces there. It will be bloody, glorious, just as Khorne demands. As we emerge from the Hab block, I see that the tide of battle has shifted decisively in our favor. The initial resistance has been crushed. The streets are littered with the bodies of Imperial Guardsmen and civilians. World Eaters and other Chaos forces push inexorably toward the center of the hive. In the distance, the massive form of the Titan stomps between buildings, its weapons bringing down entire structures with each volley. The sky is dark with smoke and the ash of burning bodies. It is a scene from a nightmare. For us, it is merely another day of war. Kargaroth leads us through the devastation, gathering other squads as we go. By the time we reach the approaches to the central spire, we are over 100 strong. A significant force of World Eaters, all driven by the nails, all thirsting for blood. The spire looms above us, a massive structure of adamantium and rockcrete that houses the planetary governor and the command center for the planet's defense forces. If we take it, we take the planet. It is that simple. But simplicity of objective does not mean simplicity of execution. The approaches to the spire are heavily fortified. Defensive emplacements bristle with heavy weapons. Squads of white scars hold key positions, their discipline a stark contrast to our barely controlled fury. Behind them, more Imperial Guard and PDF form additional layers of defense. It will be a hard fight, just the kind the nails prefer. Kargaroth calls his squad leaders to him for a final briefing before the assault. We gather in the shadow of a partially collapsed administratum building, out of sight of the Imperial defenses. The spire has 3 main entrances, Kargaroth explains, indicating points on a rough map scratched into the dust. North, east, and west. Each is heavily defended. The White Scars have positioned their strongest forces at the east entrance, which they believe will be our primary target due to the wider approach. I study the map, forcing my mind to focus through the pain of the nails. And it will not be? Kargaroth's helmet turns toward me, the red-eye lenses glowing with malevolent light. No. We will hit all 3 simultaneously. Maximum pressure, maximum casualties. Karkon, your squad will join mine in the attack on the north entrance. Dregath, take your warriors east. Volog, yours will hit the west. The other squad. Leaders nod their understanding. The plan is typically direct. Overwhelm the enemy with brute force and savagery. No subtlety, no complex maneuvers, just violence applied with purpose. It suits us perfectly. What of their reserve forces? Asks Dregath, a veteran of countless battles. The White Scars always hold back a mobile response unit. Let them come, Kargaroth growls. Whichever entrance they reinforce first will slow their advance, giving the other teams time to penetrate deeper. Once we are inside, their mobility advantage is negated. No one argues further. The plan is sound enough, and in truth, the Nails care little for strategy. They want only to be unleashed, and soon they will be. We attack in 5 minutes. Kargaroth concludes. Prepare your warriors. Blood for the Blood God. Skulls for the Skull Throne. We respond in unison. I return to my squad and relay the plan. Not that there is much to relay. Attack the north entrance. Kill everything in our path. Advance to the command center. Simple objectives for minds increasingly dominated by the butcher's nails. We use the remaining minutes to make our final preparations. Fresh magazines for bolt weapons, revving chain axes to ensure the motors are functioning correctly. Last-minute repairs to damaged armor. The rituals of war that have become second nature over centuries of conflict. Then Kargaroth gives the signal, and we move out. Our force splits into 3 groups, each taking a different route to its assigned entrance. We follow Kargaroth through the ruins of what was once a wealthy residential district. The buildings here are more ornate than those in the outer hive, or were before our assault reduced them to rubble. Now they are just more wreckage in a city of destruction. We advance in loose formation, using the ruins for cover when possible, not out of fear, but out of tactical necessity. The White Scars are skilled marksmen. No sense in giving them clear targets before we reach assault or range. The Nails make this disciplined advance torture. They want us to charge, to rush headlong into combat. Restraining that impulse takes all the willpower we possess. As we near the north entrance, the first shots ring out. Heavy bolter fire from a defensive position to our right. The rounds chew through the ruined wall next to me, sending chunks of rockcrete flying in all directions. One of Kargaroth's warriors is caught in the open and goes down, his armor punctured in multiple places. Cover. Kargaroth voxes. Return fire. Prepare crack grenades. We take positions behind various pieces of rubble and structural remains. Bolt pistols and combi bolters return fire at the Imperial position, more to keep their heads down than with any real hope of hitting them at this range. I see Kargaroth signal to a warrior carrying a missile launcher. The heavy weapon comes up, the targeting reticle finding the source of the heavy bolter fire. The missile launches with a whoosh of propellant, streaking toward the Imperial position. It impacts with a thunderous explosion that sends bodies and weapon parts flying. The heavy bolter falls silent. Our route to the north entrance is clear, at least temporarily. Advance, Kargaroth orders. We move forward at a run now, covering the ground to the entrance as quickly as possible. The massive doors loom before us, sealed shut against our assault, but we have not come unprepared. 2 warriors carry forward a battering ram fashioned from the barrel of a Leman Russ battle tank. Others prepare melter charges to weaken the structural integrity of the doors. Before they can place the charges, the doors begin to open. Not fully, just enough to allow warriors to exit in single file. White Scars, a counterattack rather than waiting for us to breach. A bold strategy, one that plays to their strengths rather than ours. They emerge at speed, bolters firing from the hip, chainswords revving. The first wave is 5 warriors strong. They aim to disrupt our breach attempt, to buy time for their defensive preparations inside. They succeed only in offering themselves to Khorne. Kargaroth is on them before they can fully deploy, his massive form charging into their midst like a blood-soaked battering ram. His chain axes reap a terrible tally, cutting down 2 warriors in as many seconds. The remaining 3 spread out, trying to use their superior mobility to outflank him. My squad engages from the left, cutting off their attempt to circle around. Grulag's combi bolter barks, the rounds finding weak points in one White Scar's armor. The warrior staggers but does not fall, returning fire with his own bolter. A round catches Grulag in the shoulder, spinning him half around before his enhanced physiology compensates and he rights himself. I charge into close combat range, Chinax raised high. The White Scar sees me coming and turns to meet the threat, his chainsword coming up in a defensive stance. Our weapons clash with a shriek, a tortured metal and a shower of sparks. He is good, very good. His blade moves with blinding speed, parrying my attacks and launching counters of his own. One cuts a groove across my chest plate, not deep enough to penetrate but a warning of what might happen if I am not careful. But I have the nails, and the nails care nothing for skill or caution. They care only for blood, for skulls, for corn. I feel them dig deeper into my brain as the combat extends, demanding I end this, that I kill and move on to the next victim. The pain becomes unbearable. My vision narrows to a crimson tunnel with the white scar at its end. With a roar that seems to come from someone else, I abandon all pretense of technique and simply hurl myself forward. The unexpected charge catches him off guard. He tries to sidestep, but I anticipate the move and adjust my trajectory. My greater mass slams into him, driving us both to the ground. His chainsword skitters away across the rockcrete. My chain axe comes down, the motor screaming as the teeth bite through his breastplate and into the flesh beneath. Blood sprays upward, coating my helmet in a fine red mist. I withdraw the weapon and strike again, and again, long after he has stopped moving, long after he is dead, until Varkath's voice finally penetrates the red haze of the nails. "Karkon, the breach! We move inside!" I look up from the ruin I have made of the white scar. The entrance has been forced open. Kargaroth's warriors pour through into the spire. My squad awaits me, ready to join the advance. I stand, retrieving my bolt pistol from where it fell during my berserk charge. With effort, I push back against the nails, regaining some semblance of control, enough to function as a squad leader again, enough to direct our part in the assault. We enter the spire, moving from the harsh daylight outside into the dimmer, artificial lighting within. The entrance hall is vast, with a high ceiling and ornate columns supporting a gallery above. The floor is polished marble, now slick with blood. Bodies of PDF troopers and a few white scars litter the ground, evidence of the initial breach. Ahead, more fighting rages as Kargaroth's warriors push deeper into the structure. "Form up," I vox to my squad. We advance behind Kargaroth's position. Watch the gallery above, likely ambush point. We move forward in loose diamond formation, weapons ready. The fighting ahead grows in intensity. Bolter fire echoes off the marble walls. Screams of the dying, both loyal and traitor, fill the air. The smell of blood and promethium and discharged weapons hangs heavy around us. As we approach a junction in the corridor, movement above catches my eye. I look up just in time to see white scars rappelling down from the gallery. An ambush, as I had predicted. They land in our midst, chainswords already swinging. One drops directly in front of me, his blade aimed at my throat. I parry with my chain axe, the teeth of both weapons screaming as they mesh together. We disengage and circle each other, looking for an opening. Around us, my squad battles the other attackers. Grulag goes down under the assault of two white scars, but lashes out with his combat knife, hamstringing one and giving himself room to regain his feet. Varkath roars as he swings his chain glaive in great sweeping arcs that force his opponents to keep their distance. Toramic fights with cold precision, his movements economical and deadly. My opponent is skilled, but the confines of the corridor limit his mobility, and the nails give me a strength and ferocity that no loyal Astartes can match. I press forward, chain axe and bolt pistol working in concert. A shot grazes his pauldron. My axe scores a hit on his arm. He counters with a thrust that penetrates the weak point at my elbow joint. Pain flares, and the nails respond by digging deeper. With a roar that echoes from the marble walls, I headbutt him, the force cracking both our visors. His grip on his chainsword loosens momentarily, and I take the opportunity to bring my chain axe down in a vertical strike that splits his helmet and the head inside it. He falls, blood and brain matter spilling onto the polished floor. I turn to assist my squad but find they have dealt with their attackers as well. Grulag bleeds from multiple wounds but remains combat effective. Varkath's chain glaive drips with fresh blood. Toramic stands over the bodies of two white scars, methodically retrieving his combat knife from the eye lens of one. Status: Ivox. Operational, Toramic responds. Ready to kill, growls Varkath. The nails sing, Grulag says, which is answer enough. We push forward, following the sounds of battle deeper into the spire. The corridors narrow as we advance, the opulence of the entrance hall giving way to more utilitarian spaces. Administrative offices, living quarters for staff, storage rooms, all now running with blood as Kargaroth's warriors slaughter everyone they find. We catch up to the main assault force as they reach a heavily fortified internal checkpoint. A blast door blocks further progress. Heavy weapons fire from gun ports on either side, keeping our forces pinned down in the approach corridor. Several of our warriors lie dead or dying in the kill zone before the door. Kargaroth has pulled his remaining forces back around a bend in the corridor, out of the direct line of fire. Karkon, he acknowledges as we join him. The path to the command center is through that door. The Loyalists have concentrated their defenses there. Melta charges, I suggest, eyeing the thick adamantium of the blast door. They will be expecting that, Kargaroth replies, and the kill zone is too well covered. Anyone approaching with charges would be cut down before they could place them. I consider our options, forcing my mind to function through the constant agony of the nails. The ventilation system, I say finally. There must be maintenance ducts large, enough for an Astartes to navigate. Kargaroth's helmet turns toward me, the red-eye lenses regarding me steadily, then he nods. A sound plan. Take your squad and find a way around. We will continue to assault the door directly to hold their attention. Blood for the blood god, I intone. Skulls for the skull throne, he replies, completing the ritual. I lead my squad back the way we came, searching for access points to the maintenance system. The nails protest this delay in the killing. They want direct action. Frontal assault. Blood and skulls now, not later. But I force them down through sheer will, focusing on the task at hand. We find what we are looking for in a side chamber, a maintenance axeway, sealed with a simple lock that Varkath breaks with a single blow from his chain glaive. The passage beyond is narrow and dark. Our armor scrapes against the walls as we enter single file. Not ideal conditions for Astartes in power armor, but navigable. The duct system is a maze of passages, some barely large enough to crawl through, others tall enough to stand in. We are forced to remove our helmets in the narrowest sections, which makes the nails even harder to bear without the neural dampeners built into our battle plate. But we push on, guided by the internal mapping system in my armor, which gives a rough schematic of the spire's layout. We emerge from the ducts into a room filled with cogitator banks and monitoring equipment. The command center's auxiliary systems chamber. 2 tech priests look up in shock as we climb out of an access panel in the floor. They reach for weapons, but Toramic is on them before they can fire, his chain axe making short work of their mostly unarmored bodies. Their red robes turn a darker crimson as blood soaks through the fabric. Where now? Varkath asks, scanning the room for exits. I check my tactical display. Through there, I indicate a doorway on the far wall. Should lead to a corridor that runs behind the checkpoint. We can take the defenders from the rear. We move through the door and find ourselves in exactly the position I had hoped for. A corridor running perpendicular to the one where Kargaroth's forces are pinned down. At the intersection, I can see the rear of the Imperial defensive position. Heavy weapons teams man the gun ports, pouring fire into the approach corridor. White scars direct the defense, their distinctive armor standing out among the naval armsmen and Imperial Guard who make up the bulk of the defenders. They have not noticed us yet. Their attention is fully focused on the frontal assault. We have achieved complete surprise. Grenades, I vox to my squad. Then full assault. Each of us unclips frag grenades from our belts. The simple but effective weapons will cause maximum casualties in the confined space of the checkpoint. We prime them simultaneously and throw. The grenades sail through the air in perfect arcs, landing among the defenders before they even realize they are under attack from behind. The explosions are deafening in the enclosed space. Shrapnel tears through unarmored bodies. The heavy weapons fall silent as their crews are shredded. The White Scars, protected somewhat by their power armor, survive the initial blasts but are disoriented and wounded. We charge into the smoke and confusion, weapons ready. The nails sing with anticipated violence. My chain axe finds its first victim, a naval armsman trying to swing a lasgun in my direction. The weapon tears through his flak armor and into the flesh beneath, barely slowing as it exits his back. I move on to the next target without a second thought. A white scar rises from the carnage, blood streaming from a dozen wounds, chainsword in hand. He charges at me with the desperation of a warrior who knows he is doomed but refuses to die without taking an enemy with him. Our weapons meet with the now familiar scream of metal on metal. He is weakened by his wounds but still dangerous. A thrust of his chainsword finds a gap in my armor at the waist, penetrating the black carapace beneath. Pain flares, and the nails respond. The world narrows once again to a red tunnel with only my enemy at its end. I drop my bolt pistol and grab his sword arm with my free hand. With strength born of pain and rage, I tear the limb from its socket in a spray of blood. He does not scream. Space Marines are conditioned to ignore pain far beyond human tolerance. Instead, he tries to headbutt me, even as his lifeblood pumps from the ruined stump of his arm. My chain axe ends his defiance, the teeth chewing through his gorget and into his neck. His head topples backward, held to his body by only a few strands of flesh. He falls, and I move on to the next victim, and the next, and the next. By the time Kargaroth's forces breach the blast door from the other side, the checkpoint is a charnel house. Not a single defender remains alive. My squad stands amid the carnage, weapons dripping with fresh blood, armor spattered with gore. The nails are momentarily sated, the pain receded to a dull throb rather than the usual sharp agony. Kargaroth strides through the ruined blast door, his massive form dominating the space. He surveys the slaughter with approval visible even through his helmet. "Well done, Karkon," he says. "The path to the command center is clear. The glory of final conquest will be ours." We advance together now, a tide of red armor flowing through the corridors of the spire toward its heart. The remaining defenders put up what resistance they can, but it is futile. They die where they stand or flee, only to be hunted down in side passages and storage rooms. None escape the blood tide. Finally, we reach the command center itself. A massive armored door blocks our path. Unlike the checkpoint, this one has no gun ports, no external defenses. It is designed to be sealed from within and to withstand prolonged assault. But we have not come unprepared. Two of Kargaroth's warriors step forward carrying melter charges. The specialized demolition devices are designed specifically for breaching such barriers. They place the charges at strategic points around the door's frame and connect the detonators. We fall back to a safe distance as Kargaroth gives the signal. The explosion is not loud, but the flash of heat is intense. The melter charges do not simply explode. They superheat the metal of the door and its frame, turning it momentarily to a molten state that destroys its structural integrity. When the glow fades, the door simply falls inward with a heavy clang. Beyond lies the command center, a large circular room filled with cogitator stations, tactical displays, and communication equipment. The planetary governor stands at the center, surrounded by his senior staff and the last of his White Scar protectors, 5 of them, veterans by their markings, the elite of the elite. They form a protective ring around the governor, weapons ready. "Surrender, Kargaroth." Voxes, his voice booming through external speakers. "Kneel before Khorne and your deaths will be quick." The governor, a portly man in ornate robes now stained with sweat and grime, looks to the White Scars. Their sergeant, identified by the additional honors on his armor, shakes his head slightly. "No surrender. Fight to the last, the Imperial way. We will never bow to traitors or their dark gods." The governor replies, his voice surprisingly steady given the circumstances. "The Emperor protects." "The Emperor is a corpse," Kargaroth snarls. And soon, you will join him. He signals the advance, and we pour into the command center. The White Scars meet us head-on, a wall of white armor and flashing blades. The clash is titanic. Elite versus elite. Loyal Astartes at their best against the savage fury of the World Eaters. I find myself facing the sergeant, his power sword crackling with energy as he brings it down in an overhead strike that would split me from helm to groin if it myself had connected. I sidestep, bringing my chain axe around in a horizontal sweep aimed at his midsection. He parries with casual ease, the power field of his blade shorting out the teeth of my chain axe where they meet. We disengage and circle each other, looking for an opening. He is good, better than any opponent I have faced today. His movements are fluid, economical, with no wasted energy. A true master of his craft. In my prime, before the nails, I might have matched him skill for skill. But I am not that warrior anymore. I am something else. Something the nails have made. He attacks again, a complex series of strikes and thrusts that force me onto the defensive. My chain axe moves frantically to parry, the motor screaming in protest at the abuse. A thrust gets through my guard, the power sword penetrating my left pauldron and biting into the muscle beneath. Pain flares, and the nails dig deeper. The world goes red. The pain becomes everything and nothing. The nails scream for blood, for death, for skulls for the skull throne. I no longer fight with skill or technique. I fight with pure, unadulterated rage. My chain axe becomes a blur of motion, attacking from every angle with no pattern or strategy, just unbridled fury made manifest. The sergeant's superior skill keeps him alive for several more exchanges. He parries what strikes he can and dodges the rest, but I can see the strain in his movements. No one can maintain that level of defensive precision indefinitely, especially not against an opponent who feels no pain, who does not tire, who is driven by something beyond mere transhuman endurance. The end comes suddenly,